Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rising Lotus Kitchen. I'm Christina. Today we are continuing on our theme of spring and all of the goodness that spring has to offer. Mother Earth's abundance of fruits and vegetables and grasses and salads and everything that springs to life during this season. Like I mentioned previously, when we move outside of the winter season, during which we have more soupy and deep stew type meaty things that are fatty to help keep us warm, in the spring what we'd like to do is lighten up a little bit and have foods that are a little less taxing on the body, easier to digest, and promote an overall detox to the blood. So really what we're doing is we're dumping all of the excess from winter and lightening up so that we get prepared for the abundance and the expansion of summer. So in springtime, it's good for us to have all of the things that come from Earth itself, all of the green things. So salads and flowers and fragrance and things like that, and a little bit less on the meaty side. So this is a good time to experiment with mushrooms because they are suddenly in abundance. Mushrooms have a couple of wonderful properties that make it an ideal food for us to have when we don't want to have meat. First of all, they're relatively inexpensive and you can find them just about in every grocery store of different varieties. But mushrooms also have a great umami flavor, which is that deep earthy flavor, which I really like so much, makes me really happy. My sun signs earth, so I like things that have me connected to earth. So mushrooms really provide that deep umami flavor and help to enhance the flavor of other foods. Second is they're super easy to cook. You can put them in just about anything, whether they're sauteed in a pan or boiled inside of a soup or baked in with your favorite baked chicken or something like that. Mushrooms and then of course there's a million varieties of mushrooms, and so you just have to find the one that you like and that's easiest to work with. So they're packed with nutrients as well and do wonders for supporting our immune system. They speak directly to our water element and our Qigong and are great for supporting our bodies from the foundation up. So whenever somebody's feeling drained out or a little bit like under the weather or like they need a little extra substance, putting mushrooms in your food is a great way to kind of pick yourself back up again. So this mushroom here that I picked up is called a King Oyster Mushroom. And it's a beautiful mushroom that is very thick and has a lot of personality to it. So as you can see, it's much bigger than your typical mushrooms like your portobellos or your shiitake. The King Oyster mushroom grows really tall. So sometimes in the Asian supermarkets or the farmers markets, you can find them to be really tall like this. The taller they get, sometimes they lose their flavor. So ideally for cooking, it's advised that you get like a medium-sized king oyster. This one's a little bit bigger, but we're going to cut this bottom part off of it and bring it back down to size. And so you'll take a look on the inside, make sure that your mushroom is still in good conditions. These were the best that I could find at the store when I went shopping. I'd like for them to be a little bit more vibrant, but well, we work with what we have and they're still edible, so they're good. So what we're gonna do today is a sauteed King Oyster mushroom, which is gonna be a replica like of a scallop or something that's meaty enough that you can have as a snack or like a main dish or so on. I mean, there's really so many ways that you can work with this. So we're gonna cut our mushroom in fairly big, thick chunks like this. So that's why I have 4 mushrooms and I'm gonna make them in a big chunk. Now this part, the top will always cook more than the stem. So I'm gonna actually do something that I don't always like doing, which is separating the top from the stem. But later on you'll see why, because this part here is absolutely delicious. And what we're gonna do is, some recipes will tell you to season your pan. Oh, these have already been washed, by the way. So these are pre-prepared. That's a word. They've already been ready to go for a while. And so here we go. I'm going to cut that top off again and put it on the side. And so put these in here, these big chunks. And so I think I'm going to stop like that because I won't be able to get them all inside of my iron skillet. And so what I'm going to do is actually take the very complicated ingredient of salt and this is pepper, just regular peppercorn inside of a pepper mill. And I'm going to season like that. And I've got my pan heating because iron skillets take a little bit longer, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in there because they're going to absorb that oil quite quickly. And then I'm only going to put a little bit of this black sesame oil in here because I love the flavor of black sesame. Now I'm not putting a lot because I have to cook these fairly at a medium to high temperature, and black sesame does not do well under heat. So again, oh, you can smell it. You can smell the black sesame. Just gonna mix the mushrooms so that they get coated with the salt and pepper and the oils on each side. And then I'm going to cheat because this is dry and put a bit more oil in there so that when I put the mushrooms in, they don't stick to the bottom. And like I said before, they will absorb a lot of this oil quite quickly. Now you'll see in some places people can tell you that you can go ahead and score the mushrooms so that it helps them to cook all the way through. Yep, I've done it both ways. I've done it scoring them and without, and it doesn't matter. Either way is fine. I think it's more of an aesthetic appeal rather than an actual functional. So if you're using a knife like this one, you'll want to be careful. So you'll see I'm cheating and taking a little bit of the oil and coating the mushrooms. And then you can get creative and go both ways. Make little, and they're starting to fry. Now, the trick about these mushrooms is because they're so thick, and you want them to be thick because that's how you get that big, chewy, biting in sensation that we like. You know, as humans, we like to feel that I'm digging into something. So you want to make sure that you cook them all the way through. So I'm just not going to do these, that way you can see the difference. Again, it really is how you want it to be. And I'm going to increase that temperature because it's a little bit cool. Now the mushroom lids are my favorite part. They are so delicious. They'll cook down and have a different flavor. They'll be a little more squishy than the stems, but they'll also have twice as much flavor in them. So let me go ahead and rinse my hands while that's working. Now I did this recipe in a vegan version using olive oil for frying, just so that my vegan viewers can have something to choose from in our videos. But you can just as easily use butter, and that's going to actually enhance the flavor of the mushrooms even more. So it's kind of up to you. I'll put a lid on that. And of course the lid, what it does is it traps the heat inside, so it helps to cook from the top and the bottom at the same time. Now there's one more trick that I do in the kitchen to help, and that is steaming. So there's just a little bit of water in here. So what I'll do is I'll wait for this temperature to get up pretty high, and you can hear it. You can hear it getting hot. The sizzle of the mushrooms is good because that's how it gets brown on the bottom. Yep, and then I can add just a little bit of water, and that's going to create steam. With the lid on top of the mushrooms while they're cooking in the steam, the steam will go in through the top of the mushrooms, the heat from the bottom, so they meet in the middle. It cooks more evenly and a little bit faster. And then when you're ready, just turn the mushrooms over and they get browned on both sides. I can't wait to eat these. These are so good. And as you can see, it's totally not complicated at all. You don't have to do a lot of work with this. It's just simply saute the mushrooms. And they're packed with goodness. They fill up the belly. Haven't met anybody yet who doesn't like mushrooms. So this is what they're doing. That one just spit at me. I'll turn them over. And have them cook from the other side. Yeah, there's a little bit of angriness going on in there. So hold on, sorry. Got a little bit of oil on my face from the mushrooms, so it's popping out. So once the mushrooms are cooked, you can eat them just the way they are, or if you have your favorite sauce, you can put a sauce on them, or if you have a salad, you can put the mushrooms on the salad. Or if you're eating a grilled piece of steak or chicken, you can put the mushrooms on that on the side as well. I mean, there's just like endless variations on what you could do with this. I'm gonna bring the temperature down just a little bit because I'm on this glass top stove that is really hard to regulate the temperature. But that's looking pretty good, right? Yeah, that's looking good. All right, so let's show you what's happening here. So here's one of my mushrooms, and it's beginning to separate, and it's getting cooked all the way down, so it's getting squishy down in the center. So you'll know that it's cooking correctly because it's going to start to kind of clarify, and that whiteness, that milky whiteness is going away, and it becomes like this. So when that milky whiteness has gone away, then you know your mushroom is cooked all the way through. There shouldn't be a problem with eating this mushroom raw, but cooked mushrooms is always the way to go. Make sure you kill off any toxins that might be on the mushroom. Of course, I washed it, but I always feel like sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's better to be safe. All right, some of that angriness of the stove is going down, which is good, because I don't want to be spit at again. And as you can see, the mushrooms are just getting brown. And yes, I turned it up again because, it's, like I said, it's going to get too cool, and the temperature is really hard to regulate. Now, I told you I would do one with scored and one not, or 2 or 3 not. And so these are the ones that haven't been scored. They still have some white in them. And the ones that were scored, they're cooking a little bit faster. So my oil is drying up because the mushrooms are absorbing it. So I'm going to add a little bit of water, that way they don't stick. I get that steam, and I can accelerate that cooking time. You know, I've been reading a lot about people who do like urban foraging, where they go forage in the forest for mushrooms. That sounds like really exciting. But then I come back to that movie. I can't remember the name of it, but I know that like Eddie Vedder did the soundtrack. And what is it, Into the Wild? Is that the one where they go on that bus, Mateo? And the guy, he's like out, he crosses the river, what is it, like in Alaska? And he thinks he identifies that herb correctly, and he eats it, but he ends up dying because like there was one line of white on the leaf that he didn't consider, and it was poisonous for, anyway. So that's why I don't go to a lot of urban foraging. I think that you know, my goal is to make it to old age. That was a good movie though. I felt really bad at the end. I was like, man, for just like one little misidentification on the plant. It's pretty sad. Yeah, so I like grocery stores. Or people who really know what they're doing. You know, you got to trust your source and where you get your food from, because it really matters. I mean, you are what you eat, and everything that you take into your body becomes a part of your body. So why not be picky where your food comes from and be like really demanding on quality and making sure that, you know, what you choose to eat is really nourishing for yourself. So these mushrooms are almost done. And I didn't put the lids in yet. In fact, these precious mushrooms are, yeah man, they look great. That looks like amazing. Wow. Mushroom heaven. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put the lids in. And leave those in there just a second longer. And then off camera, I'm gonna cook the other two. And I'll show you what it all looks like when we're done. Look at that. Nice and golden. Grilled mushrooms. They're firm, they're squishy. They are totally, absolutely, look at that one. Perfect. I can tell you that I'm hungry now and I am ready to eat these mushrooms. So the ones that are ready, you can just plate them. Yep, that one looks pretty good. So I chose a white plate so you could see them clearly. Yeah, that's like amazing. Look at that. So a lot of the flavor in food, by the way, now that I'm thinking of it, comes from the technique and how you cook it. In other words, the temperature at which you cook the food causes the crystallization and or transformation of the chemicals on how they come together. So, you know, like you want fried chicken, right? You want it to be cooked and nice and golden crispy because that's where the flavor is. Well, the same with mushrooms. You want to get them to that color. See, this one's cooked beautifully all the way through. It's got that beautiful flavor, coloring and crispiness to it. It's starting to burn on the bottom of the pan. So I'm gonna pull these out and put them on the plate. These are ready to go. That is it. That's all you have to do. Now the lids over here, they're cooking pretty well. And then we're gonna cheat and go ahead and put a bunch of water on there and turn the temperature down. Woo! What that does is two things. It brings the temperature of the pan down quickly because, like I said, it's hard to regulate on this stove. But it also provides that steam that's going to make those lids cook pretty quickly. So let me show you what we have. Here are our King Oyster Mushrooms sauteed in nothing more than olive oil, salt, and pepper. That's it. Wonderful. And super easy to do. And we're going to, let's see, let's open one up. Let's take this one right here. Sorry, I'm running out of space. And this is what the inside looks like. Super delicious, super ready to go. And that's it, my friends. You have some tasty mushrooms. Now you can serve these as a snack, you can serve them with a meal. They can be the meal, they can be whatever you want it to be. But they're good. Trust me, they're good. Oh yeah, so the black sesame oil. So if you like the flavor of black sesame oil like I do, once you've finished cooking the mushrooms, you can take a very thin spot of that black sesame oil and put it on top. And so now you've got that smoky flavor of the black sesame, which I absolutely love. All right, I hope you enjoy your King Oyster mushrooms as well. Oh, the lids. Let me show you the lids, what's happening here. So these little puppies, they've cooked real quickly. Set this down, move this over here. I won't hang around with them until they're toasted. These little puppies, because they're more delicate, they cook a whole lot faster. And that, my friends, are King Oyster Mushroom tops, which is in my world a delicacy. See you next time.